Greetings and salutations, one and all. Welcome to the night shift. Kicking off things with the sound of Pretty. The track called Where We Belong. Pretty says it's where we belong. Where do you belong? Anywhere in the world you are, that's where you belong. Trust and believe. Once again, big ups to everyone locked in right now. Those on TuneIn Radio, the night shift to DJ Kevin Stew. Those locked in from across the pond, One Ham on the radio, top of the morning to you. Those in New York, Ireland, worldwide, exhibiting the power of music. My friends over there in New Jersey, NIE Radio, big ups to you. One of the big ups to those who are locked in out of Texas, WGLRO, Allowap Radio, and Dusik Media Groups. Blessings to you. I want to say big ups to those who are locked in on ClintonLindsay.com, the Foundation Radio Network. Much love to you. And of course, those right here at the home of the night shift to DJ Kevin Stew, kevinstew.com. So glad to have you. Couldn't do it without you. You have my word, I wouldn't even try. I want to take a moment and say thank you to my segment sponsors, Pulse Media Group. When being in a moment is priceless for innovative streaming and recording solutions, give them a call. 754-999-6020. You have a church service, a funeral, a wedding, a seminar, a class, a party, and you want to stream it live on a secure platform, go ahead and give them a call. Tell them DJ Kevin Stew sent you. 754-999-6020. I want to say thank you to Althea and her Healing Heavenly Hands. Althea is a licensed massage therapist operating out of Broward County, North Miami-Dade, and South Palm Beach counties. She comes to you, bringing her table, her oils, and over 20 years of massage experience. Give her a call, 954-655-9000, or check her out at thealater@att.net. And if you're in need of a personal trainer, when you call her for your massage, ask her, hey, Hey, what can you do for me? I hear you're certified as a personal trainer. So after you put my muscles in pain, you can soothe them? Yeah, you're the kind of person that I need to get in touch with. I tell her you heard about the night shift to DJ Kevin Steele. Of course, I want to say thank you also to Reggae Global Entertainment. Reggae Global acts as your booking agents, take care of your tour management, handle your copyrights, your publishing, your business registration, legal service referrals, music production, marketing and promotion, and more. Give them a call, 954-804-8199. Or check them out on reggaeglobalentertainment.com. And thank you also to GMAT Music Solutions, bringing your events to life, providing sound, light, stage production services, musical equipment, PA systems, audio engineers, DJs, bands, singers, and more. Give them a call, 754-307-GMAC, that's 754-307-4622. Or check them out online, gmatmusicsolutions.com. I guarantee you, any of these people can get you where you belong and get you what you want. This is on a pre-day. I want to say hello to those who are locked in on Facebook Live. Remember, it's only temporary. So you're going to use a link that's in the description. In fact, I'm going to pin it for you. Simply, it's kevinstew.com. You can't even mess it up. kevinstew.com. And if you mess it up, boy, I can't help you. Now, without further ado, as we question sometimes where we belong, there's a man on the line that I don't know if he has the answers or he has the theories. As he shakes his head. Ladies and gentlemen, the man of the moment. I need to fix your.
I gotta raise me up a bit.
Yeah, I'm gonna fix that. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the one and only, the professor, the good doctor, the one and only, David Livingstone Smith. Welcome back, David. Welcome back. So glad to have you back.
Hey, it's a pleasure, man. It's a pleasure to be back.
Listen, I'm gonna fix your image over here on this other screen. But in the meantime, for those of you, those that are new to the broadcast, those that have never met you, could you just go ahead and introduce yourself real quick for me?
Sure. So I'm a philosopher. I'm professor of philosophy at the University of New England in Maine, and I write books about dehumanization, race, racism, genocide, cheerful topics like that.
Yeah, the fun
and I
stuff.
have the great honor of being the husband of Sabrina Smith.
Yes, that's the winning ticket right there. Professor of philosophy in New England. That's some. Is that sometimes a tall or a daunting task? How do you find it?
Oh, I think it's a wonderful thing. You know, what philosophy is, it's really all about teaching young people to think critically, to push back against stuff that they're told and they're expected to accept, you know, without question.
Right.
So, yeah, it's great. It's great. It swims against the grain of a lot of so-called education, where students are just have information poured into their heads and are not encouraged to question things and and to challenge professors and so on. But we don't want that.
So you encourage the challenge. You encourage the asking
Absolutely.
of questions, the breaking down of the text. You know the
Oh, yeah, but also to challenge me. I beg my students, please, if you think I'm talking bullshit, you tell me, and
right.
I will welcome that with open arms.
Right. Listen, I told you before that I really want to sit in your class because I stand to learn so much. Um, Tonight, as we get into our little chit chat here, I don't know where that noise is coming from. This strange noise in the system all of a sudden. All right, here's what I'm gonna do real quickly. I'm gonna switch your lines. Um, okay, hearing me right?
Yep.
Cool. All right, so tonight, what we want to look at right now is this whole woke thing, and this is stemming from a post I saw you make on social media, and the idea of the woke and the anti-woke kind of just started gnawing away at me. I don't know of a better way that I can put it. You know, it really started bothering me. And I figured, you know, who better to talk to about it than someone like you? So I put it to you, and as usual, you were willing to take on the task. So first and foremost, what is this thing about being woke?
Well, the way it started was a word that people concerned with social justice, concerned with opposing racism and sexism and all those things that we should be opposed to, used, right? So they talked about that as being woke, but they stopped pretty soon. Now it's been picked up by the opponents of those who have these views. And it's really used as a slur. Woke is seen as the great enemy of all that's good in our civilization and so on, which is of course ridiculous.
But this woke thing, I'm gonna be honest. I thought of it. I can say I started paying attention to people using the word woke. I would say in the last 5 years or so,
Mm-hmm.
and I went and I did a little digging,
Okay.
only to find out that woke was used back in 1938
Oh,
in a
wow.
song.
Huh.
Yeah, it is a song, Scottsboro Boys, and that song is about
Okay.
9 black boys that were accused of
Yes.
raping 2 white women.
Yes, I know the case very well.
Yes, and it's a folk singer songwriter that goes by the name Leadbelly. His name is
Yes.
Hoddy Ledbetter,
Yes.
and so back in 1938, he used this word in his song, and I guess it had been used sparingly up until it was picked up again by those, I guess, wanting to raise awareness
Yeah.
and saying, you know, you better be woke. and they started, but it wasn't even entered into the Oxford Dictionary until about 2017.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so
So that's really interesting, Kevin. I didn't know Leadbelly
mm,
used that word in a song about the Scottsboro Boys.
yeah,
That's fascinating.
yeah, it was used
So
towards
being
the
woke
end of
is
the
being
song.
awake, right? So that's the idea, opening your eyes to things that
Right,
you might have not been considering.
right. So why then was it only associated with, or let me ask, was it then really just associated with social injustices as it relates to specifically to things being racial, or
Uh,
was it wider than that?
I think it be when right. So in its renaissance, when it was kind of revived a few years ago, maybe
Mm-hmm.
5 years ago, I think it was broader than that.
Mm.
So yeah, racial injustice was a very, very important component of the idea of wokeness,
Right.
but also sexism and discrimination against sexual minorities and all sorts of forms of bigotry
Mm.
were woke was the antidote, right? So if you're woke, you recognize these things and you oppose them.
Which then tells us that the struggles that we are witnessing today by way of memes and social media rants
Yeah.
and podcasts everywhere, it's nothing new.
Oh gosh, no. I mean, this is you can go back and back and back and the the fact that we have social media now
Hmm.
gives a different format,
Right.
but the struggles themselves, oh, they go back more than 100 years. I mean, they go way back. This
Right.
contesting of forces is um, is a feature not only of American history but of world history.
When you say American history, though, David, you're talking about real American history. Or you're talking about American history as it is presented in the history books.
Oh no, I'm talking about real American history, the sort of history that I teach in my classes when I teach about race. You
Okay.
know, the horror, the atrocities, the unbelievable oppressions.
Now you can talk about atrocities toward a particular group from a couple of angles.
Yeah.
And so when you hear the term being woke, does that speak to you in a particular way, in any particular way?
Normally, these days, when I hear the term woke, um, what I assume, and it's generally the case, is that it's someone with a conservative mindset who, or worse,
Mm.
who is opposed to efforts to secure social justice for people who are being harmed. So when I hear the word woke, generally, my little alarm bells go off in my head.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, when I'm confronted with someone like that, my attitude is not to shout at them or to abuse them, but it's
Right.
to have a conversation. And I'll say to them, well, what exactly do you mean? I'll ask them, what do you mean? And if I'm lucky enough and they're open enough, then we can discuss what their beliefs are, what
Mm-hmm.
their values are, and I can, in a gentle and respectful way, challenge those.
Mm. So how successful have you been in some of these
That's a,
challenges? No, is
look,
it
this is something you can't really tell, right? So some people who I engage with, say in social media, they will have conversations.
right?
You know, they at least endorse the idea of we need to be reasonable, we need to cite evidence, and so on. Other people won't. They won't play by the rules of civil, engagement. But you don't know what they're going away with. So even if they they insult me and they say I'm what are the terms they use, like a libtard, or they say that I'm woke, or they say I'm a social justice warrior, or any of these other slurs.
Hmm.
I think I may have planted at least a seed of doubt in their heads. If I can engage with them respectfully,
Right.
they may go away thinking, well, you know, he's not a monster after all.
Mm.
So, you don't know. People are afraid on social media of losing face.
Right.
They're afraid of their friends might say of them. Because all these
The
attitudes, they're
quote
kind of,
unquote friends, though.
yeah, quote unquote friends.
Yes.
They're allies. They're the people that they hang with.
Hmm.
You know, a lot of social media is all about sending messages to those people,
Right.
right? Messages of solidarity with your ideological comrades. So people don't necessarily admit to having doubts in response to having a conversation with someone like me.
So, all right. You mentioned the when you hear the term woke as someone conservative
Yeah.
and speaking up against social injustices, which means then the opposite would be true for the anti woke. Or is it
No, no. I mean, the people who use the word woke are usually anti woke.
is it
Um,
no, this is no the challenge. This now becomes a challenge because to figure out where exactly the woke people sit and the anti woke people sit and who fits into which category and
yeah.
who is at liberty to say what now becomes quite a challenge. You're saying the anti woke, the woke, the people that are claiming to be woke are anti woke.
Well, no, no, no. What I'm saying is the so-called woke people don't tend not to use the word anymore.
Ah,
It's the anti-woke people who use the word. And look, in these kinds of interactions, I think the thing to do whenever one talks about being woke or anti-woke or whatever, just say, let's drop the slogans. Just explain what you mean.
right. So before because I really want to try to get real deep into the thought processes of these individuals. If you being a philosopher, looking at the history, even looking through the history of some of the things that we're dealing with today, recognizing that it's nothing new. Looking at those things to say, all right, let's break this down and let's shed some of the foolishness then
Exactly.
and open our eyes and be aware of where we stand, what we know, and what we're saying. Because what we're saying is a big part of the woke, anti woke thing, right?
Yeah.
So, who then, by definition, would the anti woke be? So, by definition, the woke is a conservative.
The person who uses the word woke, it's not quite by definition, but that tends to be the case.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So when people use the word woke nowadays, as opposed to like 5 years ago,
Right.
it's usually people who are using it as a term of abuse. So they're referring to people who they disagree with as, or who they think are foolish, as woke. Those people themselves, the target of that language, nowadays tend not to use the word woke. So woke nowadays is used almost entirely as a term of abuse.
Really?
Yes.
So when people are protesting, because BLM, the Black Lives Matter group, they had picked up the stay woke, be woke whole thing as a chance to be aware of what is happening.
Yeah.
So how does that fit under the...
Well, I didn't know that BLM used that word. Generally speaking, it's people who are opposed to those who are concerned with social justice, who use the term woke. And I think if BLM uses that, they should bloody well stop.
Yeah, because
right?
Here it is. Woke has become an insult used by opponents of movements such as Black Lives Matter. Okay.
Exactly.
But in protests, there has been the call to be woke, as in, as we had described it at the beginning, to be aware of.
Yeah. So I didn't know that folks are still using this in protest, but they shouldn't. They shouldn't, because it plays right into those people who disparage them. Right? Here's what they should be saying. Look, I'm a real believer in plain and direct speech rather than slogans.
Right.
Wake up, be aware there are things going on that you don't know about or you're not taking seriously enough, and those are really bad things.
Yes.
And you need to be aware of these things so we can together do something about them. That's the kind of language that I think is far superior to throwing slogans around like that, which are then picked up by the opponents of the movement and used to abuse them.
So then the people that are considered the anti-woke, who then are they? Where do they stand? Because are they the ones that are now on the receiving end of the abuse?
Well, they are to some extent, because, of course, you know how things are. People like to call each other names, and abuse one another instead of engaging in serious conversation. So, yeah, of course, people on the left ridicule those who disparage them. They ridicule people on the right, and vice versa. And ridicule, I mean, that's the mild way of putting it, of course, because it's often worse than that. It's often worse than that. I have plenty of colleagues who receive death threats because of what they write about, receive rape threats because of what they write about and what they say. There are groups that try to get universities to fire people who speak up about racial injustice and sexual injustice and so on. So the name calling is actually quite a mild, almost a silly thing. But there's a lot more severe and dangerous stuff going on behind the scenes that a lot of people don't know about.
But there are individuals that are claiming these to fall under these categories and wearing the T-shirt and holding up the sign.
Yeah, that's just, I think that's so silly and stupid. It's theater, right? That's game playing. My view is let's get down to the real work. Let's forget about the T-shirts and the slogans and all that kind of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and let's get serious. These are really, really serious matters.
Well, I guess the argument could then be that because it is serious matters that are being addressed, um, that they need to speak in such a way that it will call to awareness. So they will use the slogans, they will use the slurs and say, but this is what we're fighting for. This is what we're calling you to recognize. Or the ones on the opposing side will be saying, what you're saying is just that. It's just putting on a show. There's none of this going on. They're downplaying what the protest is about. Though the protest may be
Yeah.
maybe justified, it is being
Yeah.
downplayed
Yeah. No, of
under
course.
under the
That's
guise
right.
of the slogans and slurs.
Yeah, of course, that's right. So why play into the hands of these people? And slogans, I don't think slogans are that powerful, People just repeat them, often without really understanding what they talk about. I see this all the time. I see this with people on the left who are at least ostensibly concerned with these matters.
Mm-hmm.
Just repeating the words, repeating the words, repeating the words. We need to keep our eyes on the goal here. What are we trying to do? We're trying to influence people in the right way. Right? So we need to proceed in that fashion.
Right. For those that are just tuning in, I welcome you to the broadcast. Those on NIE Radio, Island Worldwide, One Harmony Radio, WGLRO, Oliwap Radio, Dusik Media Group, the Foundation Radio Network, ClintonLindsay.com. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Those right here at the home of the Night Shift to DJ Kevin Stew, kevinstew.com. We're speaking with philosophy professor David Livingstone Smith. Dr. David Livingstone Smith, if you want to really get down into it, he just really likes David. He really does. And we're addressing the whole idea of woke and anti-woke. And those of you watching on kevinstew.com and on Facebook, Facebook Live, I'm leaving you guys now. Come on over. Use the link. Come on over to kevinstew.com. I do encourage you also to use the phone number, 773-789-STEW. You can call, you can text, 773-789-7839. Call, text, WhatsApp, Telegram. All of them get you in touch, right? And you can speak with myself and David on this matter of being woke or anti-woke, wherever it is that you stand. It will be good to know why you stand there. And again, this is a judgment-free zone. So I do encourage you to jump into the Stew Pot on kevinstew.com. Others call it a chat room, but because we're very fancy, it is called the Stew Pot. It's where we keep things interactive and bubbling. And of course, kevinstew.com is the home of the Night Shift with DJ Kevin Stew, where you're encouraged to have acceptance through enlightenment. And for any of you that come here looking for answers from me, I don't have answers. My job is to stimulate your appetite, not to satisfy your hunger. So you come here and you should leave here with more questions where you can go and seek answers. All right, so Facebook Live deuces to you. Take care. Until, come on over. All right, so the objective, David, is to get to a common place where, excuse me, some of what do we call them? The atrocities against society gets addressed, and perpetrators get punished accordingly. Ultimately, that's where we want to get to.
Well, I'd put it a little bit differently than that.
Okay.
I'm less concerned with people being punished as the world changing as I am with the world changing.
Got you.
Right. So, what we want is for people who might want to do harm to be prevented from doing harm. Punishing people just makes them worse. And so what do we need to do in order to get there? Well, people need to become aware of the harms that have been committed historically. And certainly Americans are grossly ignorant of that. And we need to address the harms that are being, committed now. To try and heal the world. I mean, that's a Jewish expression, healing the world, and I'm totally committed to that. We want to make things better. I want this to be the kind of world that I want to live in, and I want to convince other people to join me in that quest, and that can only be achieved if we're willing to be open with people and engage with them.
As one, a philosophy professor. Two, I guess let's go ahead and put it all out there for those that don't know, right? So you're Jewish by lineage.
Yes.
A philosophy professor. White by appearance.
Yes.
Married to a black woman by appearance.
Yes.
Who grew up knowing no real color as a Jamaican.
Yes.
So there is the American going out of country. There is the white man going out of race. There is the, what would you call that? Oh, the religious side?
The cultural side.
It's more cultural? Okay.
Yeah.
The Jewish man going out of culture.
Yeah.
So with that being said, does that play differently into how you would address issues like this? Do your colleagues, do they have that kind of diversity in their household also? Mm. Or is it just that you have a collective mindset?
Yeah. Well, I mean, not very many philosophers do the sort of work that I do. Mm-hmm. And my life, the influences on me, certainly have played a role in that. And we can add growing up in the Deep South in the 1950s and 60s.
Right.
That was very, very influential to me. Being part of a Jamaican family is very influential,
right,
to me. Right. So, we're all the product of the forces that we're embedded in. We're all the product of these situations. So, yeah, all of that is really important and has affected my worldview. And the influence also of particular people. I mean, my wife, Sabrina, whom you just mentioned, is a huge, huge, huge intellectual and spiritual influence on me. Mm-hmm. As were my grandparents, who were refugees from Eastern Europe, and I grew up with.
Right.
Right. So, in a way, I think I've been very fortunate to be exposed to all of these forces, which have given me a perspective that I think is valuable.
So, you see, that changes, or that creates what then would be a platform on which others would want to build on. You live that platform. You are that foundation, having all these this all this diversity within you and within your household. You end up having that understanding. You end up having that open mind to say, what is it that we're going after here? What is it that we're trying to, how is it that we're trying to live? Because what your household says is, if we want to go ahead and use the terminology that we're playing with tonight, the woke and anti-woke, in your house, others looking in would say, boy, they're really woke over there. Because none of these things that seem to be an issue, none of these things that creates chaos on the outside is creating chaos on the inside of that house. In fact, it is creating unity in that
That's
house.
right. Yeah.
So then what is going on over there? What is going on in that house? How is it then that there is this kind of unity there? It must be because they're professors.
Yeah, but it's not, of course. It's because of how the two of us are situated and the way our lives have gone, and the influences on us and so on. And that really relates to a bigger point, two bigger points, actually.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, there are plenty of people who object. People on, woke people, if we're going to use that term, I'll put it in scare quotes, woke, who object to views that Sabrina and I have. For instance, as you know, I don't believe in race. I think race is a horrible, toxic, evil idea. And there are a lot of people, believe me, who might, be yelling about social justice, but would think I'm an awful person for having that view.
Right.
I think we should get rid of race. Here's another one. I don't use the word racism. I don't think it's helpful. I think we should say what we mean. The word racism means too many different things. So let's be explicit rather than yell the word around.
Right.
So that's like one chunk. Here's the other chunk. Just as the influences that I've been subjected to have made me the person that I am, this is true of everyone. So, if suppose, as is often the case, I'm interacting, say, with a white supremacist on social media.
Mm-hmm.
There's some reason why they have the views that they do.
Right.
There's something about their lives. There's something about the influences on them. And I have to be open and curious about that.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm to stand any chance of reaching them. Right?
Right.
And part of that picture is understanding that people can change. Just as they're the result of the influences on them, new influences can make them different.
Well, that may be the very thing that we need to do more of, really, then. To influence that change, that open mindset. But for some reason, there is this constant fight back. There's this constant tug of war when it comes to that, because okay, so you don't use the term racism, and you don't try to use the differences of race when it comes to cultures and individuals, so as to minimize the differences that are seen. Whereas I would constantly be calling out for people to, we pretty much do the same thing, whereas you just eliminate the word from your dictionary altogether. And I am using the word to say, but what is that? When, if you need an organ transplant and you're getting it, you as a white man need an organ transplant and you're getting it from me as a black man, you're going to live. Are you going to say, okay, take it out of me, let me die? You're not going to.
In the past, people did. In the blood supplies, for instance, were segregated, both in the United States and in Nazi Germany. People died. White people died
Okay.
because there wasn't white blood, quote unquote. Of course, there's no such thing.
Right.
But that's unusual. That's although people behave very self-destructively when they're in the grip of these ideas. So I think the point really, again, I'm a big believer in keeping our eyes on the goal. How can we influence people in the right way? And we're not going to influence people in the right way by just calling them racist. We're going to stand a chance of influencing people in the right way. If we say, oh, this is a very interesting view that you have. This is an interesting view that you think that Black people or Jewish people or Asian people are inferior. Tell me more about that. Let's have a conversation about that. Right?
Right.
Unless we open those doors, there's no possibility of influence.
But okay. So the ideal thing to do with even this using slogans, slurs, and these catchphrases, captions, titles, for those who are more aware, to actually use those as a platform to break down the barriers which tend to cause these problems.
Exactly.
All right, so let's see if we can leave this broadcast in another half an hour or so a little bit more enlightened. Pretend, for example, this is one of your lectures. And I am that student that comes in saying, you others in this lecture theater, you need to wake up. You not woke. And I come in and I chant this. I don't know if you let this go on further than day one to see where it's going to go, and then address it then, or you would address it right then and there the first time you hear it. But at the point of your addressing that, how does that go for you?
Oh, it's going to go something like, well, this is very interesting, Kevin. Can you explain to the other students what you mean by them not being woke? Unpack that a little bit in ways that maybe other people can understand. And of course, what's going to happen there, if you're at all reasonable, and generally people will be, is you're going to unpack a little bit. You're going to explain a bit what you mean. Now, it can go two ways after that. I might interrogate you a little bit. I might say, yeah, but that's not really clear. Like what you just said, it might mean one thing or the other thing. So let's talk a little bit so we can get clear about what you mean. It might go that way. It might go that I invite other students to respond to you. Now, my judgment here is going to be, I don't want the other students to be hostile to you. So if you've behaved in a way which is likely to stimulate hostility, what I'll do is prefer me and you interacting a bit until those barriers are broken down, and then I'll invite the other students in. But I need to express a genuine interest in what your concerns are, what your worries are, what your values are. And that's going to provide some kind of basis for a conversation in which you might be changed. Or you might not be changed, but the other students might be changed by this conversation. But if I just try to shut you down, or now obviously if you're being super disruptive
Right.
and so on, then
Yeah.
I have to do something
Right. You're gonna have
because
to maintain
you're
control.
you're you're yeah, you're consuming all the oxygen in the room.
Right.
But that's really rare, and usually it can be handled in such a way where you don't have to shut someone down.
Now, how then would we take an approach like that out of a lecture theater
Mm.
into the wider society? Because
Mm.
we are bombarded by influential people in mainstream media that I don't know what their agenda is that they're pushing,
Yeah,
because clearly segregation and conflict is big business. It has always been good business. That's
absolutely.
that's why we've had wars, and we
Yeah,
continue to have wars because
yeah,
ammunition and weapons sell.
yeah.
So how then do we take this idea of unpacking a mindset, unpacking one thought in the wider community?
That's a very, very hard question, and there are a lot of social forces that are really opposed to this. There are a lot of social forces that are invested in maintaining the status quo.
Right.
And like you said, people are rewarded for it. They get ratings. These things are seen as entertainment, people fighting it out and so on. I think all that I can say is people like me and people like you, right? I think you're doing this work, Kevin. Need to do what we can to encourage people to push back, to resist, to not fall into this sort of interaction. Now, am I optimistic that this is going to be successful? No, I'm not. I'm not optimistic, but I know it's the right thing. And to use a line from that Cornel West likes to use, I'm not optimistic, but I'm hopeful. By hopeful, I mean it's worth trying. It's worth us doing our best to really try to make the world a better place. And we're not going to make the world a better place by doing what's all too frequent in social media, on television, in politics, and so on.
So we have to swim against the current.
Exactly.
Okay. So traditionally or historically, that has caused even more problems because the current takes the masses along with them. Or
Yeah.
let me not say that. Let me say typically the masses tend to go with the path of least resistance, which is to go with the current. So if you're going to be that salmon looking to keep the line, the lineage of salmon alive, then the swimming upstream thing, you know, I guess we would have to figure out why the salmon really do it for us to do it too.
Look, no one does anything unless they think it's worth their while. And we have to convey to people as best we can that this is worth their while. I mean, the other way of doing things.
But war, peace is not profitable.
It's not profitable. Well, there are circumstances when peace is profitable. It depends. The issue is where you want to get your profit and what the currency is. Right? What's the current? What do you value?
That, David. What do you value? So I value that green piece of paper that people fight over, try to steal, um, love to
Hmm.
floss with, throw in the air, fan with, make it rain, whatever. And your value is the peace of mind that you get knowing that you can go home with a roof over your head and your bills just paid. You don't need anything else.
Well, I value the piece of paper too. Um, and we can find common ground there, right? Now, at any cost? Do you value the piece of paper at any cost? I doubt it. I
Mm.
mean, there's some people that do. Um, but we can find common ground. So we can start asking questions about how we can live in a decent world and flourish and be secure and have enough.
Okay.
And there are going to be people, look, there are always going to be people who don't buy that. But that doesn't matter. What matters is that there are enough people that do buy it.
But the people that don't buy it can have the proof to say, but look, it worked here and here and here and here and here and here.
Uh-huh.
So what you're selling, show me the proof that it works.
Yeah, but that proof is for
Is it?
lawyers. I mean, right. And what I want to appeal to our principals. I mean, and anyway, I want to ask them what they mean. What do they mean by show me the proof that it works? Show me the proof that decency works, that kindness works. I mean, the whole issue of does it work is missing the point.
Mm.
And we don't need everyone on board. We really don't. We just need enough people. It's a matter of changing the culture. And I want to repeat what I said earlier. Am I optimistic? No, I'm not optimistic. But do I think it's worth trying our hardest?
Yes.
Absolutely.
All right. So you and I agree on this. I'm not speaking of the hypothetical me now and the hypothetical you.
Yes.
Literally, us, David and Kevin, we agree on this that these kind of discussions are things that need to happen
Yeah.
regularly and often
Yeah.
so that people can hear it and get an understanding of what is happening and the awareness that they can make a change if only in their house. That is a starting
Yes.
point.
Exactly.
So here we go, and if we reach one person in our dialogue, then we're successful.
Yes.
You and I see it that way. But generally, people count success in number of likes on their social media pages
Yeah.
and the number of shares that they may get.
Yeah.
So, with something like this, which tends to be less popular, where people are we are saying this whole taking sides thing, this whole falling under an umbrella of a label thing is defeating the purpose of what you're trying to accomplish. It in
Yeah.
and of itself, claiming a label in and of itself is self-defeating.
Yeah.
But this is how people identify. So then, where then do they point their identity? Where then do they point for, say, this is how you recognize me?
By by their fruit you shall know them, as the New Testament says. Right? You stand up for truth and justice. And you don't need slogans to do that.
Mm.
And you might use slogans a little bit, but my God, get beyond them. Right?
Yeah.
So you might say, okay, I'm concerned with social justice. That's kind of a slogan these days.
Right.
Then say what you mean, right? Don't just hide behind the label. Because what happens when people adopt these things is it becomes very thin, it becomes very superficial. And if you're engaged in a real struggle, as this is, I mean, a real serious struggle, we don't want things that are thin and superficial. The only chance that this stuff has for having the effects that we want it to have is for people to be deeply engaged beyond the words that come easily, the chants that come easily, and to be committed to having the right effects, having the right impact on people.
Mm-hmm. You see, I ask these questions because this is pretty much my struggle. And you know, I speak often of the my own slogan, have acceptance through enlightenment,
Yeah.
which I created when I was doing that presentation on hate. And if you take the first letters of each of those words, that's exactly what it
Yeah.
spells. And I think I like you say, move beyond that.
Yes, you do. You
I think,
unpack it, Kevin.
yeah. So if individuals find something that they can relate to, even by way of a slogan, you're saying don't you're not saying to discard your slogan. You're saying to take that slogan and move it from more than just words into action.
Yes, exactly. Don't be trapped by it. Right?
Got you.
Make it more than words. Make it more than making the right sounds out of your mouth.
Mm. Donnie Walker has a thing where he says people are using there are glorified talkers with elaborate words.
Nice. It's true.
And that's kind of what comes to mind when you say make it more than just something that sounds nice.
Yeah.
Don't just give me an empty box with a pretty bow.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so you have written a few books. You
Mhm.
have addressed a few audiences, including, if my memory serves me correctly, one G8 summit.
Yes, the G20. It was
G
the G20
to the
summit. Yeah.
G20. Which
Yeah.
year was that again?
2012.
There we go. Has it changed any from all the classrooms, all the lecture theaters, even speaking to these heads of governments? Has there been any kind of change?
I don't know. Certainly with my students, I think there has. Um, but it's very, very difficult to know when you're in a public forum like this is.
Yeah.
What kind of soil the seeds of your words are going to fall on,
Mm.
right?
Right.
You can cast these seeds out, and a lot of them are going to fall on stony ground, but some will sprout.
Right. Right.
Some will, and usually you don't know.
Right.
Occasionally, someone comes back to you and says, "Yeah, you know that was really important to me. That really changed my view of things." And that's a bit clearer in the classroom, actually, when I'm with people over a long period of time and I'm engaging with them, and it's a whole process. But something like this, I mean, neither you or I know
True.
what the effects are going to be. We can
True.
only hope
Yeah.
that it will have some constructive effect by this conversation.
True. And it, I can tell you, week in, week out, I just try to reach one.
Yeah.
My ultimate goal, one. I get one, I am so successful.
Hmm.
And so as we look at the woke and the anti woke, the leftists and the rightists that seem to be at odds but fighting for the same thing, it makes me wonder. It's like Shakespeare. Much ado about nothing. Why?
Mm.
You know? At the end of the day, it is the why that bothers me. It is the why that will have me call you up and say, or reach out to you by message and say, boy, Dave, can we talk about this? When are you available? Is Sabrina available to talk about this?
Yeah. Well, we're both often available, but like you, we often are short on answers and long on questions. And I really don't believe in. I don't believe, if you pardon the expression, in bullshitting people.
Right.
So if I have some insight into something that I think is an insight, I'll share it. But if I don't, then I won't. And I'll say to people, like I say to my students, I don't know. Maybe you can figure this out.
Mm. I guess that's another part. That would be another part of it. The part where you recognize that, hey, listen, I don't have the answer.
Mm.
I was last night. I did a little family party for my son's godfather, and after I finished playing music and the festivities were all done. We were chatting. My better portion, him and his wife. We were all chatting, and he said, what I realized that gave me peace is when I recognized that there's a God and I am not him. So when people come along that have issues, when people come along and they come presenting whatever it is that they're dealing with, looking for answers, looking for solutions from him, he gets to say, I don't have it. I have no answer for you. I have no solution for you as it relates to this particular case. And he can walk away feeling fine, saying, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I guess that is pretty much a long-winded way of saying what you just said. Sometimes
You've added lovely detail to that. That's a beautiful story
thank you.
about intellectual humility.
Yeah.
Let's not pretend that we know things that we don't know, because if we pretend that we know things that we don't know, we're never going to find out. We'll be trapped in our illusions that make us feel good, perhaps, but aren't really giving us the answers that we seek.
It's funny. When I worked for there's this company that I resigned from twice back in Jamaica. And there was a vice president there that one of my colleagues said, what her big problem is that she don't know, and she doesn't know that she doesn't know. And I can tell you, he told me that we were having lunch, and for the remainder of that day, I tried to figure that out. And then it hit me. It's as simple as it is said. You don't know that you don't know. And that is the worst thing, because you're convinced, you have convinced yourself that you are well in the know. And so we have these two groups that clearly those with the most influence, the loudest voice, the most followers, I guess whomever it is that is most charismatic, that
Yes.
gets that has the influence, now gets to put that message across to those that they reach. And there's this continued conflict which serves our society no good purpose.
That's right.
And then there are a few that are sitting watching what is going on, wondering why, and crying in the corner because they are also affected by what is going on in the worst way, feeling helpless.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I believe that the ones that really suffer the most are the ones that feel that they can't do anything about it. And they have to sit through it and suffer. While people that look like them are arguing one way and soliciting funds to support their cause.
Yes.
To help the one that is in the corner, helpless, crying.
Yes.
That does not get that help. And that's the other part of it that bothers me. Because those that are out there pushing their agenda and saying, you know, you gotta be woke. And then all of us over there saying, you are anti-woke. And having whatever it is, these rallies and asking for the support because, you know, we have to maintain this, whatever this is. Which causes even more division. So it comes back to that value thing that you spoke about, because we can peacefully find value in what we need. We can peacefully find that place where it is profitable for us. But what is always out there in mass media is the thing that separates us. The thing that drives us towards that self-centered goal of accomplishment as perceived by the masses.
I agree with you. And that's why it's a struggle. And that's why I said I'm not optimistic, but I'm hopeful. Because even if we don't succeed, it's worth trying.
And, you know, I guess that's all we can do. We can try.
That's all we can do.
So, for those that are listening, whether right here live on any of the affiliate platforms, NIE Radio, Island Worldwide, WGLRO, Aliwap Radio, Dusik Media Group, the Foundation Radio Network, ClintonLindsay.com, or right here at kevinstew.com. That one little bit that you think you can do to make a difference in your house, do it. That one little bit. Because if you don't recognize that you need to make sure that your house is okay, it really starts with you though, the individual, you know, before you get to even your house. Because when you take that plane and you're going through the checks and balances before you take off, and the flight attendant runs through the safety measures, they say when that little bag drops out of the ceiling, if it needs to fall from the ceiling, you need to put on yours first. Which means that baby that is with you, that elderly person that is with you, you are ignoring them for that moment that you put on yours. Because if you're not wearing yours, you can't help them. So you need to take care of you first. And that you taking care of means sitting down, looking into self, recognizing those things that you value, analyzing the cost involved in preserving that which you value. Then you can make your move to preserving, sharing that with those closest to you, finding that common ground with those around you with which now you can help to build, and you create that your own utopian society. Because it starts little by little. This is how we build villages. Yes?
Absolutely.
Oakwood in 1927 was pretty much built on something similar to that. Others know it as Black Wall Street.
Yeah.
So let's start right now with whenever we hear people talking about be woke, be anti, you are anti woke. Let's just kill that right there. Let's start by using our words, because we have words that we can really use and understand each other. Because to be honest, I had to really look up. I had an idea what it was this whole woke thing is, and this anti-woke. I had an idea based on how it was used, the context in which it was used. But I really had to look it up to figure out, what are people really saying when they say this? And I consider myself fairly intelligent. I'm not all the way up there, but fairly intelligent. So can you imagine everyone else? Those that don't stop to think about it for a moment. And I guess these are the ones that are being targeted by those in the know. In order to keep the propaganda machine going and support their own personal agendas. Our little 1-1 connection and the one discussion is where we go to make a little bit of a change. David, you have a few books out there. You're working on some things. You just did a new book. Tell us a little bit about. Actually, I have to. I just turned someone on to your last book on dehumanization in humanity. But your most recent books, let's start there. If you could just go ahead and put out that information and how people can get in touch with you and get your material.
Sure. So my most recent book was on inhumanity, dehumanization and how to resist it. It's a book written for everyone. It's plain language, but full of content. Oxford University Press. And people who want to find out about it, I mean, you can get it from Amazon, of course, but you can also visit my website, which is www.davidlivingstonesmith.com, where there's a lot of stuff about my work and links to lectures and so on. My next book is coming out in October, and it's called Making Monsters, The Uncanny Power of Dehumanization. And it's going to be all about really the stuff I've been studying for the last 12 years. What happens, how does it happen that human beings think of other human beings, whole groups of human beings, as less than human? And how does this contribute to the worst things that people do to one another? And the hope is, of course, by understanding this better, we can end it. If we pop open the hood and look at the machinery, perhaps we can take it apart.
David, even looking at that, because that's pretty much where this whole connection with us started, thanks to David Barash. This whole dehumanization thing. And us looking at each other as less than just that. Which would probably speak to why you don't use racism in your vocabulary.
That's right.
Because it takes away from the being, the human.
No, that's true. But it also makes conversation difficult, if not impossible. Right. So if there's someone who has, I'll put it in quotation marks, racist ideas, I'm not going to get anywhere by saying you're a racist. I'm only going to stand a chance of getting somewhere if I say to them, oh, well, what exactly do you mean? And let's talk about that, because I disagree with you on that. And if I can engage with this person respectfully, at least I have a chance of modifying their views.
Yeah. David, I want to thank you once again. Well, I thanked you earlier for coming on, but thank you once again for
It's a pleasure,
coming
Kevin.
to
It's
have
a real
on.
pleasure. You're doing wonderful work and you're playing wonderful music.
You know, I try. I really do.
Oh, you succeed.
And coming from you, I really hold that in high esteem, and thank you. It
Hey,
humbles
man,
me.
I'm a fan.
Yeah, you know. Thank you. Um, you get extra points from Sabrina for bigging me up. Do tell her I send my love.
Oh, she's listening in right now.
I'm so not surprised. Hi, Sabrina. We will talk again, because
Sure.
this and these conversations don't end just here, and they can't end just here. Got a message from my friends over there at Island Worldwide, saying, you know, this is a great discussion. Big ups to them, China, Nicole, Gary, much love. David, you have, I'm pretty sure, I haven't gotten the feedback, but I'm pretty sure you have really inspired some people to think tonight, this morning, depending on where they are in the world. And I thank you. It's important, and I pray your continued success
Thank you.
and health.
And you, Kevin.
I thank you.
Oh, here she is. She's yelling. She's not dressed appropriately, so she's yelling from the other room.
I hear her. Hey, Sabrina. Your turn next, okay?
Okay.
I'm gonna make y'all take turns.
Yes, okay. Anytime, Kevin. Anytime.
Right. Take care, man. I need you. You inspired me to play this latest tune. There's this lady, South Florida native by the name of Nikki Blaze, is her stage name, and she wrote this song called "Lost in Illusion." And that's a track that I'm gonna transition from our discussion, from our talk, playing, and move into musical therapy with that. So you can either stick around here or just go to kevinstew.com to really listen to the words of it. Either way, I truly appreciate, love you, sir.
Love you too.
Take care.
Next time.
Yeah, man.
Bye, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, official Jamaican, you know, official real Jamaican, official Jamaican.
Yeah.
If you get a chance to follow him on social media, you do so, because just not on the days when he is cooking, because you'll be upset that you're not getting any. He upsets me all the time. David, take care. Have a great night.
You take care now.
This is Nikki Blaze, Lost in Illusion.
Okay.
Yeah. I see them lost. Oh, yes, I see them. Lost in illusion. Lost in illusion. I see them. across the shore. My race that built this great nation, still trapped on my plantation. I see them love. Oh yes, I see them. Lost in illusion. Lost in illusion. I see them love. Oh yes, I see them. Lost in delusion. And now they reside in a state of confusion. Rwanda, Haiti, down in Darfur, Jamaica, they're crying out for murder, hunger. Why can't we come together and help one another? It only takes but one to start a revolution. Please don't play into the illusion. Oh, I see them lost, yeah, I see them lost, oh, in a state of confusion. Wake up, wake up, wake up, yeah. Oh, I see them lost. I see them lost. I see them running, running, running. Oh, I see them running. Oh, my people lost. Oh, my people lost, yeah. I wanna tell it to you now. I see them lost, lost in illusion, yeah. I see them lost, oh,
So, you know,
in delusion.
when you really think about it,
My people, you lost, oh.
it's everyone that is in the fight that is lost.
I see them lost, oh yes.
You have ones that are the ones that are doing the oppressing, that are lost in their mindset of feeling that they are better than another.
And now they reside.
You have the others that are lost in fighting for equality and equity.
Love, oh yes, I see them.
All losing out on the big picture.
Yes, I see them. In delusion. And now they reside in a state of confusion.
But we get to move away from that state of confusion, right? But it takes some time. And as time goes on and we continue these discussions,
the struggles of life face us each day.
then we can influence the change. We can make a difference.
Take this journey all the way.
This is Son of Marcy J. Ball.
Gotta face reality. Today for you, tomorrow for me.
The track is called Time Change.
Live in harmony. Times are changing before our face. We can't drop out of this race. No matter how long, no matter how hard, we gotta survive. Times are changing before our face. We can't drop out of this race. No matter how long, no matter how hard, we gotta survive. We have daughters, we have sons, so much work left to be done. What you believe you will achieve. So let's get together, everyone. Join hands and hearts together, take a stand. Big truth and rights to every man. Times are changing before our face. We can't drop out of this race. No matter how long, no matter how hard, we gotta survive. Times are changing before our face. We can't drop out of this race. No matter how long, no matter how hard, we gotta survive. Struggles of life face us each day. Gotta take the journey all the way. We gotta face reality. Today for you, tomorrow for me. promotional. Let's live in harmony. Times are changing before our face. We can't drop out of this race. No matter how long, no matter how hard, we gotta survive. Times are changing before our face. We can't drop out of this race. No matter how long, no matter how hard, we gotta survive. Times are changing before our face. We can't drop out of this race. No matter how long, no matter how hard, we gotta survive.
25 minutes to the top of the hour, 25 more minutes before I get out of here.
We can't drop out of this race. No matter how long, no matter how
This is our musical therapy
times are changing before our
as we close out tonight's community and finance night.
no matter how long, no matter how
We're talking with David Livingstone Smith.
changing before our face. We can't drop out of this race. No matter how long, no matter how hard, we gotta survive.
Professor,
Times are
author,
changing before our face. We can't drop out of this race. No matter how long.
at the end of the day, just an outright good man.
Chris Malachi.
As we kind of unpacked this whole woke and anti-woke thing,
Don't know how far the finish line is.
that's true. We don't know how far the end is, do we?
Till I see it.
Son of Mark Anthony working out with Chris Malachi.
Counting my blessings just like an addict.
It's called Endure.
Running them down, trying to score, calming my nerves. I'm preserve. I am red set. In this life, couldn't burn sharper. Thankful that I'm seeing clearly, not drama. Can't stop the vision, what me born for. Learning every day that my journey's harder. And I know if you feel the same, give praises to the Most High. For the race is not for the swift, but those who can endure. The battle is not for the strong, I'm telling you for sure. Keep your faith, yeah. I know that God is great, yeah. The race is not for the swift. The journey is another gift, yeah. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Right time for setting like this and go be the law. Thinking of a master plan, I cannot do without. Kingston to up here, we'll find a better route. Then we'll fly up on a tour where the bucket list then out, yeah. Family and future for secure. Greatness in life, you're not bad, then you couldn't know for sure. Yes, you will flow through your bones. Run at your own pace and seek a better way. The race is not for the swift, but those who can endure.
Yeah, the race is not for the swift, but for those who can endure. Hey, cuz, how are you doing?
Keep your faith, yeah. I know that God is great, yeah. The race is not for the swift. The journey is another gift, yeah. The race is not for the swift, but those who can endure.
Yeah, sometimes we have
For the strong, I'm telling you for sure.
races that end early.
So keep your faith, yeah.
And we look at those races and we go, that was a quick race.
Race is not for the swift. The journey is another gift, yeah. The race is not for the swift, but those who.
Yeah, but it's really about how
The battle is not
that race was run.
telling you for sure.
And sometimes we sit and we question those are the short run races.
For the swift, the journey is another gift, yeah.
But at the end of the day, we need to recognize that, you know, they did what they came here to do. You know, not to flog a dead horse, figuratively speaking, not to dwell on the matter. But 'cause much love, I'm right here with you and for you. This is GAE.
Has happened in the past.
This track is called A New Haiti. In recognition of Haiti and what they have been doing there as they continue to develop and grow.
The Lord has heard his people's tears. A new day comes with no more fear. Once divided, now unite. A new Haiti in a bright new light. Once divided, now unite. A free world with just sovereign might. Brokenness was brought within. The cells of those who's conquering. Lust and envy, greed and pride. A raw deal and a pack of lies. The Lord has heard his people's tears. A new day comes with no more fear. Once divided, now unite. A new Haiti in a bright new light. Once divided, now unite. A free world with just sovereign might. Preserved through strength and unity. Those who hold out to God's light. Injustice and inequity cease to bring our remedy. Once divided, now unite. A new Haiti in a bright new light. Once divided, now unite. A free world with just sovereign might.
Yeah, once divided.
Once divided, now
And in this case, we can use Haiti as symbolism. Everywhere where there's division, it doesn't have to remain that way. We can unite, we can grow, we can find that common ground and be profitable in peace.
the past.
It's just for us to make that step and decide that that is what we're going to do. It can be done.
I give thanks and praise to the Most High.
Change it.
And I show guys praise, hallelujah.
World is changing.
This is Empress Unique working out with Culture Cali.
Change it.
It's called The World Need Changes.
I say, it's a bring this chocolate. Worldwide Egypt, I say.
Today we're here and tomorrow we're gone.
Real hard time.
Gone to a place called No Man's Land.
As you say, again.
Right here on earth, you can't even hold your brother's hand.
Yeah.
Or able to take a stand for what's
rougher now, tougher now. Anyway, the food, then we are go for now. People, they must suffer now. This is down the gutter now. Things gotta change some way, somehow. Reach
Today we're here, and tomorrow we're gone. Gone to a place called No Man's Land.
Oh, yeah.
Right here on earth, we can't even hold our brother's hand, or able to take a stand for what's right on this land. You got one foot in and the next one out. You know what I'm talking about. One foot in and the next one out.
Rastafari.
There is no doubt. You got one foot in and the next one out. You know what I'm talking about. One foot in,
14 minutes to the top of the hour.
one out.
Just unique like when they're
I
coming.
want to thank you, each and everyone, for tuning in, for
One out.
sharing.
There's no doubt.
That's it.
I do want to remind you that
This one out.
this broadcast can be found just about everywhere on podcast platforms.
Next one out.
You name the platform that you check out your podcast on, you just go there and type in The Night Shift with DJ Kevin Stew, and boom, you are connected. Of course, there's a YouTube channel, The Night Shift with DJ Kevin Stew, and you go to kevinstew.com and you are connected to all of these. So all you need to remember is kevinstew.com, and if you scroll down to the bottom of the page, you'll see where recognition is given to my affiliates, and big ups to them. Island Worldwide, exhibiting the power of music. NIE Radio, the Foundation Radio Network, ClintonLindsay.com, One Harmony Radio, WGLRO, the People Station, Aliwap Radio, by way of Aliwap Radio and Dusik Media Group, by way of WGLRO. Much love, truly appreciate love, y'all. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Next track I am gonna play is from one of my affiliate station managers. Big ups to Miss China Nicole. Track is called Naya and Bingy.
Sometimes they fight, and sometimes they sing. By their action, you know their moods, their moods. Do they wanna stay or fly and be free and be two little birds, Naya and Bingy. One is yellow, one is black and green. They are the prettiest, cutest birds one has ever seen. Wherever one goes, one will follow. They share the secrets no one will know. By their actions, you know their moods, their moods. Do they wanna stay or fly and be free? Just be free. Do they wanna stay or fly and be free? two little birds.
Remember to join me tomorrow. Right here, same time, same place, kevinstew.com and affiliates. 10 p.m. Eastern for Healthy Love.
They're the prettiest, cutest birds one has ever seen.
And listen, if your thing is supporting the station on which you hear this broadcast on, don't be shy. If you feel like, first of all, understand this. Any of the affiliate stations that you hear this broadcast on is willing to accept your support. So even your monetary support, you just reach out to them and say, yo, you know what? I like what you're doing. Here's $20. Here's £20. Keep doing what you're doing. It's not much, but here's my contribution. We all will appreciate of it. Trust and believe. So whether it be NIE Radio, One Harmony Radio, WGLRO, Ireland Worldwide, the Foundation Radio Network, ClintonLindsay.com, or even right here at the home of the Night Shift DJ, Kevin Stew, kevinstew.com, reach out and say, yo, I like what you're doing. Thank you for doing what you're doing. How can I help to build what you're doing? How can I help you in building what you're doing? Because we're all in this to win, yeah, but we're also in this to bring something of substance to you, the listeners. This is the sound of Crescenti. It's called Losing Battle, and this is where I get out of here.
A losing battle is not my game. Rasta don't play that my day.
Well, maybe I can squeeze in one more after this.
No losing battle and a Iron game. I might not play that my day. No healing can wear Rasta crown. And then so we go on in his own. To represent your firmament, Christianity devotes its hand. And to the world I do present my philosophy I represent. Hear the voice of God echoing from over yonder the sand. No losing battle is not my game. I might not play that my day. No healing can wear Rasta crown. Cause I am like governed in his own. No losing battle is not my game. I might not play that my day. No healing can wear Rasta crown. Tell them say we govern in his own. Often lead and meditate to be as mystic as one Zion gate. Where do you love it? More than all the dwelling place of Jacob. Babylon not study me life, and I put up a fight. But Jah are the shield and the guide. A losing battle is not my game. I might not play that my day. No healing can wear I and I crown. Cause I and I govern in his own. A losing battle and a Rasta game. Cause I and I play that my day. No healing can wear Rasta crown. Cause I and I govern in his own. Me see them and I wonder why. Them show them blow and we still a survive.
Alright, so I get to squeeze in one more before I bounce on out of here.
Every day, Christian to me tell them.
This was Crescenti, track called Losing Battle. I'm gonna leave you with this one. Paul Anthony working out to the Stamina All Stars. It's called Mr. Misleader.
Why do you want
This is where I say good afternoon, good morning, good day to you wherever you are in the world from right here in South Florida. I bid you a good night. Catch you tomorrow. Healthy love night.
Alright.
Y'all take care, yeah?
I'll miss you up here, misinformation. I spread through the TV station, straight from the lips of Satan. You know, she said that I divide the nation. Hey, evil lies. Can't you see where the evil lies? Open your mind. The truth ain't hard to find now. Mr. Misleader, Master Manipulator, Mr. Misleader, Maniacal Motivator. You think that we can see through your disguise? Master. Talk a good one, but behind you are brutalized. No one can scrutinize you. You don't know what it means to be wrong and carry on living in a delusional existence. You say you are champion, no, political bad man. Sad to see the casualty. Enough of them still believe everything you say every day. Some of them just pretend like this is all okay. A time now for break free of the mental chains, or it's all going up in flames. Yo, Mr. Misleader, Master Manipulator, Mr. Misleader, Maniacal Motivator, Mr. Misleader, Master Manipulator, Mr. Misleader, merciless murderer.
Pulse Media Group, innovative streaming and recording, has done it again. A new way to get your business in full view of your neighborhood consumer through AdShare TV. It's available in your neighborhood today. It's easy. Just call us 754-999-6020. Become a host today and place a TV monitor in a strategic location so it's easy to see. Get a 1-minute video ad or longer that plays anywhere in our network. Can't be a host? No problem. For a few dollars, we'll run your 30-second video ad. A host can run announcement specials like buy one get one free or discount ads. Let's turn your flyers into a 30-second video with music or a voiceover, or let us create and run your video ad with a spokesperson. Take advantage of our early enrollment discount. Join us today. Your ad will be seen at least 30 times per day in your AdShare TV neighborhood. It's easy. Just call us 754-999-6020. AdShare TV, part of Pulse Media Group.
Yes, my people, check out Iron Funks on Reggae Global Radio every Saturday at 8 p.m. with Kev Stew, where I'll give you a pre-life, brand new, good for you. Kick it like a ball if you don't say a dance song, you hear that?
Greetings and salutations. This is DJ Kevin Stew inviting you to bubble up and simmer down with me in the Saturday Stew right here on Reggae Global Radio. Get ready for the special segment called The Secret Ingredient, where you may hear from your favorite artist or producer. Saturday Stew happens every Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time exclusively on ReggaeGlobalRadio.com, where we get high on reggae. Greetings and salutations, one and all. You're invited to tune in to the night shift with DJ Kevin Stew. It airs on Mondays with Community and Finance, Tuesdays with Love, and Wednesdays with Real Talk from 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern Time. Come spend some time interacting in the stew pot where we keep things bubbling and wind down in musical therapy. The night shift with DJ Kevin Stew is on kevinstew.com, where you're encouraged to have acceptance through enlightenment.